past week, we've been working with a online professional development tool called Global Academy Online, which was inviting us to do new things involving, preparation for our classes, getting more exposure to our students, twisting how we do some kinds of assessments or instruction. And they gave us a few ideas for tools that we can use moving forward, and I just want to showcase a few of the ones that I got to use the last few days. I will be including a link to all the stuff that I did this past week. So I'm going to go through just a few of them really quickly. So I'll be looking off camera for a little bit, but I'm just going to scroll through a few things. So on the first day, we talked about the importance of a welcome tour and having a homepage for your students at the beginning of the year to kind of set a home base of what the expectations are for the year, what you can expect for criteria, methods, how to find things. Because for a lot of these kids, it's how to find the material. Once they know the material, they get, a rhythm, they know what to do, they know the expectations, and even though they claim they don't, they do. But it's a matter of setting those expectations really early. So we talked about setting up a welcome homepage. So what I did in Blackbaud, you could do this on Google Classroom. The setup's a little bit differently. You can do this on, WordPress or actually any kind of user-created websites. A lot of just those drag and drop features. But in Blackbaud's backpack, you have two options for posting things. I am not a fan of bulletin board. The reason why is if I go to like an edit mode and I wanted to import stuff, I can't borrow resources that were made by other teachers. We have some pretty amazing teachers at Bosco, and I've been, borrowing a lot of their resources for years for layouts and content and whatnot. And unfortunately, if you use bulletin board, it's kind of locked to just you. However, if we go back and we look at the topics option, I just loaded two pre them currently and made them active so we can see them. But if we go to create a topic, I can load from a numerous different sources as far as importing. So sorry, create topic. I meant import a topic. I can import from any of the teachers at our school, which is fantastic. And not just from this school year, but from previous school years. So if I want to look up something that's old, it's not zooming on the page. Hold on. Sorry, now you can see it. If I click on another teacher, I can scroll through and I can choose the content of another teacher to kind of see, which gives me a lot more power when choosing my options. So personally, if you're using Blackbaud, I would highly recommend using topics. I know Blackbaud support says go bulletin board. I say topics. So this was my welcome page that I kind of demoed in the class a little bit. I'll zoom out a little bit so it looks a little better. And it's super simple to make. It's just a matter of kind of drag and dropping. So lines, spacers, image. It's really quick to import, and you can use the same one year in and year out. So the more effort you put into it, the easier it gets in subsequent years. You make changes for assignments or whatnot. But as I demoed in the link, and I demoed on our first day Monday, it's all about having a nice little introduction page. I'm not going to click through it just in the interest of keeping this short because I'm already at 3 minutes. So it's having a set organizations, having a set plan of what you want things to do and expectations moving forward. So on our second day, we transitioned instead to how can we get the kids involved with a few things. So one of the things that I proposed was having more interaction between teacher and student, not just having the teacher teach and the students just take assessments on that, but also have the students making videos as well so they can show that they're knowledgeable of the content. So what I talked about was what I did for my midterms projects back in January, which is I would assign a few students each to a few of these topics based on data that I collected over the course of the year for their strong points and their weak points as far as their academic ability. And they would create review videos on various topics. I would provide the questions. They would have a midway point, submission where they have to plug in the answer key and send it to me so I can confirm they at least got the right answers. But then they make a video on it. And the best part about that is if you can teach something, you start developing a better mastery and understanding of the content. So in order for them to actually successfully make these videos, they do have to understand the content. And because I'm having them work on their weaker subjects, they do get much quicker with it. I got a lot of feedback on this from our team, and I think this was just a really great idea. Something super simple to set up. And the templates, once again, I can have links to just setting up these templates, and it's just drag and drop for things. These are really cool. Going to our third day was talking about just modifying assessments a little bit more. So instead of having the kids do videos, another thing you can have them do is reflections. So if you take the moment to talk about why instead of just what, you kind of get a little bit more. So for example, after the students are taking this quiz on this is an Algebra 2 course. I don't want to bore you guys with the content and whatnot, but this is just on conics for ellipses for short reference. If we wanted the kids to reflect, try to get a little bit more information out of them, it's a matter of just changing wordings. And yes, this looks like a lot of writing for the kids to do. But if you're giving them, a longer period of time to submit something, like a couple of hours, like they have until 6 p.m. to submit this. When you're looking at assessing questions, these are some great things to ask to kind of just pull more information out of them. So in this particular assessment, I asked the kids to actually make the test themselves. So I said, these are the types of questions. So just quick reference. I want this question to reference how to do foci and asymptotes, which are mathematical topics regarding points of interest inside of a circle or ellipse or hyperbola. So I want them to make a question involving those aspects. So there's a guided rubric of stuff that they need to do. After they make the question, then they need to solve the question. So just like we did with the videos, they need to be able to show their understanding by solving something. And since they made it, it's going to be different from a peer's work, so it's kind of a great way to deter cheating. And then lastly, to make sure that they got it correctly, they would use a math program called Desmos, which will allow you to put the graphs and everything side by side. So as long as their work matches what Desmos says the graph should look like, they're in pretty much good shape. So this is a great tool that I did to kind of get more creativity out of them. And it kind of, once again, better assess the mastery rather than just the short-term understanding of something. In the reflections, though, I had the kids elaborate on what did they notice while they were creating these questions. When it comes to topics like conics, there are a lot of patterns that are involved that will make everything so much easier. Like when I intentionally make questions on day one of a lesson, I'm making those much, much easier ones to solve. We're using nice, pretty numbers. However, if a kid is making these and he doesn't plug in one of those nice, pretty numbers, he notices something happening. And I want them to kind of reflect on that. And what that allows them to do is they start thinking, well, how could I make this easier? I mean, yeah, using 1 or 0 is going to make a lot of things easier, but if I use different numbers, how does this make it easier? And I wanted them to see if there were any patterns involved. So metacognitively, you're getting them to think, okay, what makes this easier? Which does tie into something we talked in the past, but in the short term, it's new. Which questions were solved easier? Which question is easier to solve? So once again, this is kind of just them elaborating on what's going on. Now, this question number 3. This is a question you can only ask later on in the year after you build a rapport with your students. When you ask a student to be honest, 2 things occur. They're either going to actually be honest with what you're saying, or they're intentionally going to give you the answer that they think you want to hear. So if you're a teacher that has been actively trying to build connections with the students, you're going to get some great answers here. If you have a student who's slowly losing interest or slowly losing that connection, they're going to start just giving you the filler, the fluff that they think you want to hear. But this is a great question. Were there any types of questions you got stuck on? Basically, you're asking the kid to admit if they struggled. And a lot of kids do not want to do that. They never want to admit their weakness, even though there may be a weakness present. I mean, some of them probably won't because, this is the test. It's hopefully that they have the understanding at this time. But some of them still have those issues, and you want them to kind of address it. And you will get some pretty good responses with this, where a kid will elaborate and say, you know what, I did well. I was able to get through the assignment, but I really struggled with ellipses, or I really struggled with hyperbolas, or this topic or that topic. And sometimes this is not enough space. Like generally, I would give probably twice the amount of space for that because you really get kids to open up a novel with stuff like this. And actually, reflections may be good in a video kind of format, where you actually ask the kid to sit down, focus up, talk to the camera, and just kind of buy in a little bit more to it. The problem is they're gonna try to make the perfect video, and then that's wasting a lot of time. So sometimes this is a little bit better, but I do like question number 3. For question number 4, what could be added or taken away? Same thing for number 2. And then the last one, I try throwing this on everything that I give. This is probably one of the biggest things I try to push, is I ask them to compare this to previous stuff, because it's great to see them comparing stuff. Because this will always give you a truthful answer. They're not going to lie on something there is. They're not going to say, oh yeah, this is so much easier than everything else we did. No, they're going to give you an honest answer. They're going to say, you know what, this was easier than this, but not as hard as that. And this is a great way to kind of rank everything that's going on. We're at 9 minutes for the video, so. Okay, last thing we did was just navigations for setting up a kind of a pacing guide. So also in the same topics page that you can do in Backpack, you can set up a pacing guide. And basically what a pacing guide is it lays out the entire week with access to everything but no drop boxes. So for the topics page, what I did was using the same format that I did for my welcome page. Excuse me. let me zoom in a little. I had the option to include the notes of what's going to be going on in the course. So you'll notice that for this Monday, I posted, all right, here's your worksheet for Monday. Here's your videos, just like I did on the topics page where I kind of demoed that you'll find this here, you'll find that there. Now, if I scroll this down, unfortunately, this tool is not as great as Loom for kind of just navigating pages, so I apologize for having to fix this. But then also I have something for Tuesday, and I have something further below for Wednesday. And what this allows me to do is, once again, post everything on Sunday night, saying this is your entire week, and this is what you can expect. So if a kid's got to work, or he's got schedule or sports, he knows what's coming up, or she knows what's coming up, and they can plan ahead accordingly. But there's no drop boxes, so they can't submit it yet. Now, on Monday, it'll be Monday's Dropbox. Tuesday, there'll be Tuesday's Dropbox. But at least they can get ahead if they want to. If they fall behind, they still know what's going on. So it's a great way to kind of stay organized with everything that you're doing. Let's set this back to where this was. It takes a little bit longer than I would like, but it's okay. I'm still learning this program too. This one should be replacing, but anyhow. So that was the fourth thing we covered, is kind of just a quick way to kind of navigate everything, give it a pacing guide for things. Now, my biggest regret, and I said this in my reflections on Thursday, was I didn't keep doing this. I really should have kept going with these. This was a fantastic idea for just front loading everything and then letting people kind of work within the week and then making yourselves more available. Like students know on Sunday, Mr. J is going to be available Tuesday at this time, and then he's got his 3 appointments on Thursday. And of course, we have our quiz on Friday. Stuff like that, that pacing was fantastic. And kids had more consistency, and there was less anxiety about what happens if we're getting a big assignment on this day. I would give little notes like, okay, short assignment, this is a 2-minute lesson, this is a 7-minute lesson. They kind of could plan ahead. I fell out of those habits when we kind of transitioned to the fourth quarter, and I stopped making these. I still posted all the material, still had the extra help hours and everything, but I stopped doing this preliminary guide of everything. And I think next school year, this is going to be the biggest thing that I change, is just to have more of this. I think this is a great idea, and I think this is something I would love to do more. So setting this up, incredibly simple in Blackbaud. In other programs like WordPress or Google Classroom, it's pretty quick to set up as well. There's plenty of tutorials online. I'd be more than happy. My email is right here, actually, on this video in the bottom right-hand corner. Feel free to shoot me an email. I'd be happy to show you how to do a few of these and setting them up, organizing them. Obviously, this video has got a little bit more going on to it than a normal Loom program is. But it's really easy to set up. It takes maybe hour and a half to kind of get through everything comfortably. And then, as I said before, when it came to topics, if you ever just want to import, you can just borrow them from any teacher that you want to. And it's a great way to kind of just share resources. So I had a lot of fun with this. It really helped me reflect on what I was doing well and then stuff that I could improve on. And I definitely think this is something I could use again in the future. So 13 minutes. Hopefully you're watching this twice as fast. Have a good one.